Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Whiskey Geeks. It's been like a million years. My name's Tim.
And I'm Alex, and we're two brothers on a quest to bring you the perfect pairing of whiskey and comics, except really we're on the quest to find some time in 2022 when neither of us have COVID, someone's not having a new baby, and just sit down and chat.
I know. It's been like 3.5 months, so sorry everybody out there in podcast land, but yeah, I don't know about here. We'll go through each other's ailments because I can tell you for me personally, I caught hand, foot, and mouth disease at the start of the year, which was super fun.
Fun as an adult.
It's brutal as an adult. I do not recommend anybody does that. And then I caught it from my child who got it at a daycare, and then she came home after that with pink eye, and then one of the worst gastro, we think it was norovirus, which then went to my wife and I, and it like beat us up worse. I don't want to say worse than COVID but whatever. As far as I know, have not had COVID, but this norovirus kicked me when I was down mercilessly for like 2 weeks. It was the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
And then we had a baby, so I've been kind of busy.
Congratulations.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, it's hectic. Life with two kids under 2 is bananas.
Yeah. While you avoided COVID, those of us up here in Ottawa did not. And it was fine for the kids. That's but good. My wife and I both got it pretty bad, even though, we're both triple vaxxed. And I ended up with a bit of the long haul.
Nice.
Yeah.
Still going on. That's fun.
Little bit of lung inflammation that at one point a coughing fit led to me throwing up while driving right in my crotch.
Oh, gross.
Which, just
for a number of reasons, gross.
So many reasons.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was a few weeks there where I was, barely able to talk and breathe properly, let alone hop on a mic. So yeah, here we are. But here we are. So we're going to do a 2-parter. So this will be fun. So we're going to break this up into 2 parts because we have a lot to talk about. First of all, we never finished our Boba Fett recap, which is hilarious. I got super sick right as the final episode came out. So for everybody that was following along with that, whoops, sorry. And sorry, Orbax, you were going to be our special guest for a recap. We'll bring you on for something else. But there's a lot of stuff to catch up on. So we're going to do part 1 is going to be a nice little recap of a bunch of TV stuff and movies and comic books and pop culture things and news that's going on. And then part 2 is going to be all whiskey because we've not done any neck pour sessions or reviews in a long time either. And I don't know about you, but I've got a stockpile of new bottles since Christmas. A lot that's unopened back in here behind me. So
and we've done a couple of club tastings and other tastings as well. With other clubs that we should talk about, but that'll be part 2. So download both of them. But if you want the whiskey chat and you don't care about nerd stuff and you only watch us and listen to us for the whiskey stuff, you can pretty much stop right now. Other than give us 2 minutes. Awesome. I mean, it's going to be pretty great. You should probably listen to it anyways. But if you don't care about cool things, then sure, see you later. Do you have a little? Dram, here's a question. With your long COVID, how's your smell and your taste? This is very important.
It is very important. It wasn't good. I made the joke repeatedly that I should have just been having kale and spinach smoothies because it would have been a great time for a cleanse because I couldn't taste or smell anything. Yeah. However, it is back, and I do have a wee pour in my Glencairn glass here. This is something actually we put up on our Instagram because we both started infinity bottles. And since we're going to be talking, comics and whatnot, I thought that I would pour a wee dram of my infinity bottle, which is a peated whiskey infinity. So let me run down what I've got in here so far. We've got some Bowmore 12, Ben Romick Peat Smoke, Talisker Distillers Edition, Highland Park 12, Teutsch and Ada from Bunnahabhain, some Buna 12, and then I put just a little bit of Glenfarclas 15. Just I wanted a little bit of sherry.
It up a little bit.
Yeah.
Nice. How is it?
So that's what I'm doing. This is only the second time that I've dipped into it since I sort of put it together. I've just been letting it sit and rest. And you know what? Actually, a lot of the sweetness, maybe from some of the Boona sherry cask and a bit of that Glenfarclas, are coming through on the nose nicely.
Nice.
But you'll notice I didn't mention that I did not put any Ardbeg or Lafroig in here because I didn't want it to just get completely overpowered with that. So there's a nice mingling of sweet smokes in here at the moment. And cool. I'm going to enjoy sort of dip it into this.
Right on. Well, we're not going to do a full review. Yeah, we're not going to do a full. I have a piece of what is in yours actually is I'm in bottle kill mode because my cabinet's empty. Again, freaking first world problems. Yeah. My cabinet's a little bit empty, so I got to kill some bottles. So I'm actually just working through the very last bit of this Talisker Distillers Edition.
Very nice.
The double matured from 2019 that you and I split.
Yeah, that was one of our very first club tastings, right? Yeah. That we, I think so. And we ended up getting an extra bottle of that because we were both excited to try it. So
yeah, and it's very, very good.
Nice.
It's very, very good. So so look at that. We're drinking some whiskey, and now let's get into the good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, well, right off the top. Jesus, we haven't done a podcast in a long time. I don't know how to talk anymore. Right off the top, we are going to quickly talk about Moon Knight because that just wrapped.
Spoilers.
But yeah, okay. Spoilers going forward for. Here's everything. Read the description. You'll see what we're talking about. There you go. Spoilers for everything. So Moon Knight just wrapped up last week, 2 weeks ago. Time's a flat circle. Overall thoughts. What did you think of Moon Knight?
Oscar Isaac can do no wrong.
Yeah, that guy's pretty great.
He was so fantastic, and even just looking, like, you didn't have to hear him talking. Everyone was like, giving him crap about his accent work when they just saw the trailer, and it's like, wow, it actually makes a lot of sense. But just his physical acting, you knew which character, whether it was Steven or Mark, that was on screen just by looking at him.
Yeah.
And I just thought he did that was a masterclass in acting.
Yeah, especially near the end when he was flipping back and forth, when he was in the psych hospital.
Yeah.
Level of the Inception storyline. Right near the end. And I think it was the last episode when he was flipping back and forth while talking to Dr. Harrow.
Yeah.
And a lot of people thought maybe that was Jake.
Oh, yeah.
But no, because there was a little bit where he slipped into like some pretty heavy New York.
Yeah, just for a little bit, right?
For a little bit. So people were wondering if that was Jake. I would agree. I think he was far and above the best thing about that show. Ethan Hawke was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I loved how, after the first like 3 episodes, I was talking to a couple of friends about it and just kind of like, would this have been better as a movie? This is dragging a little bit, but then when episode 5 happened, I was like, no, this show rocks.
Yeah.
And then here's something. Do you think that it suffered the same fate as a lot of these MCU shows where, and I mean, I guess you could throw the Star Wars shows into it because we didn't really get to really dive deep into the final episode of Boba Fett, but it was the same. The issues with that one are the same kind of here, is that there's so much story that they built up in 5 episodes, and then it's like, well, you've got 40 minutes to wrap it up and you better yada yada a whole bunch of shit, and here's a CGI punch fest.
Yeah. So we won't get into the Boba Fett right at the moment.
No.
I would have been happy with either a 2-hour finale of Moon Knight. I think it really, for me, the finale suffered from yada-yadaing how the avatar system worked.
Yeah.
And how you become an avatar, because all of a sudden his girlfriend, Layla, thank you. Layla's walking through the pyramid or the ruins, and she's now having this really weird, like phasing in and out conversation about trying to become an avatar. And I was really,
With
I mean, even
yeah,
even I was even I was lost as to, wait, which one's this now? How did this happen? And I would have liked a bit more on that. Also, why does she have a pair of golden wings if she's the avatar of a hippopotamus?
So here's my thoughts.
Because I haven't read the comic, so I don't really know. But
so I don't know completely because I haven't read a lot of Moon Knight. But the superhero that she turned into is the Scarlet Scarab.
Right.
So the Scarlet Scarab is a Marvel hero that it's a man in the comic books. And the name, I don't know the name. I didn't really do my research. Sorry, folks. But the name of the character in the comics is almost the same as what Layla's dad's name is in the show.
Right.
So they made her the Scarlet Scarab. So cool that they bring in like a DE level Marvel character into this, like comics character, right? And I'm not saying that it's not an important character and all of that stuff, because it's great that they put that character in there. But it is weird that Tawedit, who is a hippo god of fertility and love, that the avatar is the Scarlet Scarab with wings. Yeah. They just that was the part for me that I was kind of like, huh? Because I didn't know any of this until I listened to another podcast recapping it. Shout outs to the Ringerverse on the Ringer Podcast Network. They do a really great deep dive, and they were the ones who kind of like, well, yeah, it's a Scarlet Scarab, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay. So I'm glad they brought that character in, but they really didn't explain that.
No. And that's why I was and that's why I was lost, right? Because it just, there was that disconnect between who she was the avatar for and how that manifested. And not saying that, avatars can't have a whole whack of powers, like just because Moon Knight happens to be the avatar for Khonshu and, the powers
of judgment and all that. So sure, healing powers and super strength and kick-ass killing powers.
Yeah, and, he can shapeshift, apparently change his costumes at will, whatever, right? That's fine. So, but yeah, there was just I think it could have used a bit more, I don't know, exposition from somewhere to just to fill in those gaps. Now, that being said,
I think the place to do it would have been, I can't remember if it was episode 4, when all the avatars were in the pyramid, and then they had their little weird courtroom scene, and they were all just like, oh, what's Harrow? Oh, okay, we'll just all believe Harrow for some weird ass reason.
And then they sealed away Khonshu and
but that would have been the time to do it. Explain who they are, explain their avatar. I think that's how you would have been able to write. Again, I'm not a television writer.
Nope.
I don't claim to know how to do these things. It's super hard work, and I think they did a great job. But yes, to critique it, I think I agree.
And again, we're picking nits because we also got two gods that were towering over the pyramids fighting, which was amazing visually.
Yeah, that was super. I mean, I know a lot of people have issues with everyone always says well, the penultimate episode of all of these shows is so good, and then the final episode is just a CGI punchy punch fest. And that's not as good as if you look at WandaVision, right? You get all that stuff with the grieving and everything, and then the end is Vision and Agatha just punch fest flying around the sky. And then same with the
big reveal in
Hawkeye and Loki and all that kind of stuff. But I will say, as far as punch fest go, seeing a street level fight going on and then seeing an alligator god and a bird god having a fist fight, and they're 3 times the size of the pyramid, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I am a fan of the current monster verse, the Godzilla and King Kong, and I can get down with some giant CGI things punching each other.
For sure.
That's fine. I didn't have a problem with it when it was the Transformers. I don't particularly have a problem with it right now either.
Or Power Rangers, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So, but no, like, I mean, final verdict, I was really pleased with Moon Knight. I would be happy if he shows back up in some other Marvel property. Same thing with the Scarlet Scarab. I really liked Layla. I thought she was fantastic, and the actress, like, you know, she was really, really good.
She's really good.
So yeah, I would be happy if they, you know, appeared in other places. I don't know if this show is really gonna, like, is there any plans to do a second season of this, or like this is just 6 episodes and we're done, right?
It's 6 episodes and we're done. So what I gathered from that is Oscar Isaac didn't want to sign the Chris Hemsworth. I will do this.
Tied up.
I will do this until you tell me I'm not doing this anymore kind of deal. It was, I don't want to sign up for a super long-term deal, so I will sign up for these 6 episodes and that's it.
Yeah.
But it's been left open.
Okay.
It isn't. Right. It isn't the Daniel Craig. I'd rather kill myself than play James Bond again, and then he played James Bond again.
Yeah.
Which we're going to be doing a James Bond episode. We've been talking about that for a long time. We really need to do that. Because I have thoughts.
I have a bottle of rum too.
Exactly.
While we talk about that.
We've got James Bond rum. But yeah, I'm hopeful that Blade is good when that comes out. And again, I think Blade is MCU and not Sony, because that Morbius movie, which I didn't watch, but by all accounts was a hot pile of dog shit.
Didn't see it either.
Apparently it was really bad. But that's the Venom verse. Right. So not into the MCU. And I can't remember if Blade, which one it's in, because Blade and Moon Knight have run-ins.
Yes.
In the comics, and so does Morbius, and Morbius and Blade do a lot, like that. There's Night Stalker. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm hoping that when Blade comes out, Moon Knight shows up in that, and he kind of hangs out in that world, and we kind of get this little occult kind of side thing. It would also be cool if they do decide to, now that they brought the Netflix verse onto Disney Plus, and spoilers for No Way Home, with Charlie Cox showing up as Matt Murdock in that. So then it's technically there. So if they bring Bernthal back as the Punisher, Moon Knight and the Punisher have done a lot of stuff together in the comics. So I think that would be a really nice, kind of like skewing towards more rated R, but like the occult, darker version of the MCU could totally exist with a Blade, Moon Knight, Punisher. Side of it, which would be pretty cool.
So good.
So we'll rank this. Where do you put this in relation to the rest of the MCU shows?
I think it's middle of the pack. So I've still got Loki 1.
Yeah, Loki's still 1 for me by a long shot.
Yeah, I really liked WandaVision because I loved what that did for Wanda Scarlet Witch story, especially the back half of that. So I think I've still got that ahead, and so I would put this right in with What If, sort of at that same level. So like 3A, 3B.
Okay, so
so I think it's I enjoyed Moon Knight better than I did Falcon.
Yeah, I think Falcon and Winter Soldier's last for me.
It was fine. Like, and again, I'm glad it exists. I had a good time watching it.
For sure.
Just, you know, it was fine.
That's cool. So yes, I would probably go bottom and top. I would go Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And then I would probably go What If, and then Moon Knight.
Yeah.
And then Hawkeye.
Oh, I missed Hawkeye. Damn.
Yeah. Hawkeye, WandaVision, Loki.
Yeah. I really did like Hawkeye.
Hawkeye was fun.
And it might have just been because it was right around Christmas, and I was, you know, like everyone was feeling good,
Yelena was amazing.
Oh yeah, maybe Moon Knight and Hawkeye are sort of, I guess, then right. Yeah, they're you know, let's do tiers. let's do some tiers. So I think Loki's on a tier unto itself. I think, with one, and then tier 2 would be WandaVision at the top of that tier with Moon Knight, Hawkeye, What If in there.
Cool.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. Right on. Well, speaking of MCU and everything, Doctor Strange came out last Friday.
It did.
Now I haven't. No, I haven't seen it. I have a 1-week-old child.
Yeah. Yeah. I have not seen it. How are you doing with avoiding spoilers?
So here's the thing. I did a major social media cull of who I follow recently.
Oh, how good did that feel?
I mean, it felt pretty great.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you. It felt great. Now, I didn't get rid of any of the comic book stuff that I follow, but I tend to follow creators and people who don't just blast spoilers for the first week. And I don't go online. I don't just stroll and look at dirt sheets and read stuff. So I've successfully not listened to any of the podcasts that I normally listen to who do reaction podcasts and talk about it. I just skip them. We'll see how long I'm able to do that, because I didn't get to see No Way Home until it was like available for rent. Well, it was actually available. I had to buy it, but whatever. I'm happy to pay the $30 to see it, but it was like 3 months after it was in the theater. So the majority of the like the bigger spoil, like I got spoiled that all 3 Spider-Men were there, but I mean, we kind of knew that going into it.
Yeah.
The Daredevil thing got spoiled for me before I saw it, so I didn't get that like, oh my god, it's Charlie Cox moment.
Which is too bad, because he's your favorite of all those Netflix shows, right?
Yeah, Daredevil rocked.
Yeah,
it was so good. I really want to go back and watch season 1 again. Season 1 of Daredevil is so good.
So good. Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm hoping that I can avoid spoiler stuff. I know I'm saying this right now online, and someone's just gonna friggin' text me a spoiler.
Corey.
But I mean, like, I know. I still haven't seen the Batman yet.
I liked it.
I've heard amazing things, so I keep planning on renting it, and I just haven't yet.
Oh,
but I've been able to, but I've been able to avoid major spoilers on that too.
So my spoiler-free take is it's a Batman movie with Batman.
Right. Yeah, exactly. He's barely Bruce Wayne, right?
Very little Bruce Wayne, and he's a detective. Like, this is Batman as a detective, and I like it. I really liked it.
The one thing I did do is I did go online just because I was curious. I did watch the cut scene of him talking to the Joker. Did you know that exists?
I knew it exists, and I haven't watched it yet.
It's pretty great.
Yeah. I will also
that's
say,
from someone who hasn't seen the movie, and it's pretty fun 5 minutes. Yeah.
Zoe Kravitz crushed it.
Oh yeah,
as Selena Kyle.
Yeah.
And you would never know that was Colin Farrell as Penguin.
Yeah.
Like it.
Yeah.
Wild. Like, you could watch the whole movie and just be like, it said Colin Farrell was in this movie.
Yeah. I was listening to, I can't remember what it was, but I was listening to another podcast, and it came up. People were talking about how good this Batman was, and they're like, and the great part is, like, there's no, like, I mean, like Robert Pattinson, but there isn't like major movie stars in it. And someone was like, well, Colin Farrell's in it. And the person was like, what? Colin Farrell was in this movie? And it was like, he's the Penguin. And he was like, there's no way. No. Like, just didn't believe him.
No.
Hilarious.
So
also,
anyway, I won't tell you my thoughts on where this could go for the next Batman movie, since you haven't seen it. Yeah. So we'll do that another time.
Yeah, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
Maybe this weekend. Now that, like, my kiddo's a little bit older and stuff like that, older as in like a week. There will be times that she's up in the middle of the night, and I've got wanting to let my wife sleep, so I will just go rent it and just hang out in the basement and watch it from 1 to 3 in the morning.
It's 3 hours long. That'll be 1 to 4.
1 to 6 in the morning. Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, there you go. It's a side Batman chat I didn't know we were going to have. What is your hype meter on Doctor Strange? How pumped are you to go and see this?
I'm incredibly pumped.
Yeah, this is really high for me.
I'm really high. One, I loved the first Strange movie.
Hell yeah.
Like, more more than I thought I was going to, which is weird. But Benedict Cumberbatch is incredible, and I think is perfect. Like he's right up there with like casting wise with the Tony Stark, right? Like it's just I see Benedict Cumberbatch and it's like, oh, that's Doctor Strange. I mean, he's also Sherlock Holmes, but I can suspend that disbelief.
Yeah.
But it's really high. I know you're a big fan of Strange. Like you were reading that. It was the Jason Aaron run.
Yeah.
Right.
And Chris Pachalo, I think, is the artist on that. It was so good. Yeah, I'm so beyond pumped for this. I mean, I think I liked What If more than the majority of people. And I mean, as dark and as sad as it was, the What If that's basically sets this up, that episode was amazing.
I think if people go back and listen, I think I said that was my favorite episode.
Oh, I think you might be right.
Wow.
Yeah, it was great.
Like Dark, Evil, Strange.
Yeah, Strange Supreme.
Like, who you see like for a second in that, I don't know, it was trailer number 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
But oh boy, he looks creepy.
Oh, I can't wait. And spoiler for the trailers, but the fact that they just flat out said the Illuminati is in this, I'm kind of wishing they didn't put that in a trailer and they just let that be a movie spoiler that you're just like, the Illuminati will see you now. I'm like, what?
And hearing Patrick Stewart as Professor X.
Yeah.
So and anyway, bringing X-Men into the Marvel universe and all the possibility. Oh yeah. Love it.
It's going to be pretty awesome.
So is your hype higher for that or Obi-Wan?
Oh, that's what we call a segue, folks. Nicely done.
Thank you.
Obi-Wan's higher.
Yeah.
It's Star Wars. It doesn't matter what it is. Anything Star Wars is going to be higher on the hype meter for me than anything Marvel. It just is what it is. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see the Grand Inquisitor in live action, similar to seeing Cad Bane show up in Boba Fett, like seeing the Grand Inquisitor in live action and the other Inquisitors and like, the third sister and like all this stuff, like seeing all of those people that Rebels. Oh man, Rebels is so good.
Just and the lightsabers that they have, like seeing those in live action with the spinning and
so excited. Hopefully they fly like they do in Rebels, like the helicopter blade thing. I hope they do that. Oh man.
How much do you think is going to be flashback? Like, do you think we're going to get any, because Hayden Christensen we know is playing Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Do you think we get any Anakin, Obi-Wan flashbacks of the two of them off doing awesome stuff?
That's the only reason you cast Hayden Christensen in the role. Like you don't cast Hayden Christensen to throw him in a suit and use James Earl Jones's voice or modulate his voice. Like you cast Hayden Christensen to, in my mind, you cast him to let him redeem the prequels. Yeah. Let him redeem his performance in the prequels, which he's a very good actor. So I think he will do it. I really don't think, I think the issues with the prequels from the acting and the dialogue
was the writing
rest squarely on the shoulders of George Lucas, who isn't the best dialogue writer or clearly director of acting. Yeah. He's a genius, but
spawned my favorite universe.
100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I 100% think that we're getting Clone Wars era flashbacks.
Beautiful. I was actually surprised that we got so much off Tatooine Obi-Wan like footage in the trailers.
Yeah.
I was kind of expecting much more like Obi-Wan's on Tatooine just overlooking Luke. And I mean that scene when Luke is clearly like pod racing.
Yeah.
Like that was awesome. Yeah. So I'm very interested to see like what Obi-Wan is off trying to do, how much communication he might have with Yoda. I mean, there's just so many great things. I mean, we could get some Force Ghost Qui-Gon in there. That was the last thing Yoda told him to do, right?
Yeah.
was go talk to your old master. So I'm so
Well,
very
it was like,
excited.
yeah, I've got training
Yeah.
for you so that you would be able to. It wouldn't surprise me if that was like a stinger, like a
Yeah.
post-credit stinger, like at the end. I don't think we're going to get a ton of it, but if we should get some.
Yeah. No,
Hopefully.
I'm very excited, and we've only got 2 more weeks to wait.
I know.
So
Do you think, here's last question on this and we'll move on, because shocking, we're running crazy over the time that I thought we were going to be on this episode. How do you think we see Obi-Wan's lightsaber? Do you think that him and Vader actually are going to fight in this?
I don't think so. Although, yeah, I don't know. I feel like if Vader was able to find him, that would have been the big showdown. Right. Because, and it would just, there'd be too much retconning that would have to happen from the quote in A New Hope of like, last time we met, I was but the student.
Yeah.
So,
but now I'm the master. So
yeah,
I've been thinking about that too. And I think the only way to make that not be weird is Obi-Wan has to wash him again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if they show down, he could just, I would be so good if he got the high ground on him again. Fucking great with that. Oh my
or
God.
he has the high ground and says it, and like Vader goes to jump and then is like, oh, I better not. And then they like just part ways.
They do like a smash cut of him getting sliced apart and burning alive again. And he's like, oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
Fool me once.
Yeah.
Fool me once. That'd be hilarious.
But I do hope we get a lot of Obi-Wan versus the Inquisitors. I mean, like, I hope there's some good, like him versus.
Will it be lightsaber stuff though?
Well, that's
the thing. Like, he can't be in. I mean, there's wanted posters. They're chasing him and stuff like that. Like,
I mean, he could have it. We do see him firing the blaster.
Yeah.
And so it could be I don't want to reveal myself, so I'm not going to use it. Right. I mean, that's very like on brand with Rebels, right? Where it's like I'm not, like, my lightsaber's not even assembled. I carry it in 2 different parts and they just look like components on my utility belt, and if I have to, then I'll put it together and use it. So it could be that, and he's trying to stay hidden, obviously. So
fair enough.
But yeah.
Cool. Well,
all right.
Couple weeks. Can't wait. Oh my gosh. Give it to me.
Yep.
Give it to me now. Let's maybe try and do some instant reactions or something to that. We'll see how episode 1 is.
Yeah.
And how badly we want to talk about it.
Oh.
One other quick hype meter for another show that previews have been dropping for it. What, if any, is your hype meter for Ms. Marvel, the next MCU TV installment?
So I'll be honest, I haven't even seen the trailer.
Oh.
And I think
it looks super fun.
I think it's because it came out when I had COVID. Because it's been out for a while, right?
Yeah, I think I saw the first trailer a couple months ago.
Yeah, so
a while ago anyways.
I missed it, and now it just, like, it hasn't popped up on my front YouTube page when I go, because it's not something that's there anymore. So you know what? I will make a point of going and watching it once we're done here, so that I can have a better opinion.
Hey man, it looks super fun.
Yeah, I love what they did with the character. Like when they 100%. Rebooted that, and like that like initial comic run. Yeah. Like I read the first issue of it, and I really like it. So I'm very hopeful that they'll land it and it'll do really well.
Yeah, it's very similar, and it's really great in the sense that with like the Spider-Man reboot with Miles Morales, right? Like having an iconic character come in and have it be a teen from a different background that's not just a down on his luck white kid.
Yeah.
Getting some other context in it and like giving representation to other people was fantastic. And Ms. Marvel is the same thing. It's New York based, but a Muslim girl who gets superpowers and becomes a superhero. But it looks super colorful, super fun. My hype meter is higher than medium.
I'll definitely watch it.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch every episode and watch it the day it comes out, like I do with all this stuff, and it's gonna be great. Rock and roll. So, what comics have you been reading for the last like 4 months?
Wow, a whole bunch.
That's
so
good.
yeah,
Mine have not been that plentiful. I'll be honest with you. No.
Well, I get home delivery from my comics from my guy up here in Ottawa, so that's nice. For anyone who is local, Mike from Dark Age Comics, and actually he does ship. Plug. So yeah, and one that I think you're going to enjoy is the new Punisher run.
Oh, with the retconning of the logo and stuff.
Yeah, so it's like a rebranding, but it's putting him in charge of the Red Hand.
Yeah, I like that.
So I've read the first one, loved it, think you're gonna like it. It was a limited series, but I really, really enjoyed was King of Spies by Mark Millar. Of like Civil War, right? Fame. Have you heard of it? But it was really good. So it was only 4 issues. They were oversized, but it's a retired British spy who's got cancer. He's got 6 months to live, and he is on the warpath to try and take out all the ones that got away and the monsters that are left, some of which are high-ranking members of government.
Dig it.
And yeah, so it was really cool. Art was great. What else? Star Wars still doing. It's now on to Crimson Reign. So that's always fun.
As opposed to Crimson Dawn. That's the next iteration of Crimson Dawn.
Well, this is it's like so there was the big crossover event, and this is like gone into like still looking at Crimson Dawn and how they're going to influence.
Oh, the reign of Crimson Dawn. I got you.
Yes, there you go.
Gotcha.
So yeah,
Reign, REIG.
Yes, that one. Yeah, not RAIN.
God, I hope I spelled that right.
Where was the N and the G? Who knows? It's too late. Yeah. And then just for a bit of the classic stuff, I just picked up the Sandman, the new deluxe edition 1 and 2. Nice. And I'm working my way back. Like I haven't read all of it, but I'm rereading the first just started from the start again. So I'm up onto what would equal issue 14 or something, and it's so good.
Yeah, that one has this. I think we talked about this in the Swamp Thing pod or something like that. That Sandman is one that has escaped me. Yeah. So it's on my list. I actually think that my local comic shop, Heroes, is currently running a sale on graphic novels. So I'm going to head down this week. Yeah. I'm going to go pick up a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. So what about you? What have you been working through?
Man, over the last 3 months. I don't know if I brought this up on the pod or not, but I caught up to where they took their years long break with Saga. I read the giant. I figure you're up to date on Saga.
I was gonna say back into Saga.
Yeah, so I finished the giant compendium of Saga, and
right.
Yeah, I get it. I get the hype.
Right.
I have thoughts. We'll dig into it because we will get into Saga for sure. But pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I've been catching up on the Adventure Zone. I'm up to. This is Pedals to the Metal.
Oh, that was one of my favorite arcs.
Yeah, great D&D podcast for those. I know we've talked about it, but they did graphic novels of all their arcs as well. So I think the next one, maybe the next 2 are out. Oh, there you go. We've got it right there. One. So I'm about halfway through. Geralt just showed up. For those that know. God
He's
damn,
one of the best.
Justin McElroy's a genius.
Mighty Steed.
So funny. Binacorn. I read the King in Black that you loaned me.
How'd you like it?
It was great. Yeah. Like Venom, the symbiote, the king of the symbiotes shows up. Big world-ending event. It was fantastic. Wonderful crossover event involving everybody in the Marvel universe. trying to fight the symbiotes. It was really, really awesome.
Yeah, nice. Glad you enjoyed it.
I didn't I was most of the way through a couple of series, and then I got sick and I haven't been able to finish them, but I know I talked about them briefly, but oh man, what is it? Hold on. Oh, Batman the Imposter, that's what it's called.
Right.
So I still have like the last issues to read on that. Pennyworth, which was like a story about Alfred in his days of SAS. I had like the first 4 or 5 of the 7, so I've got to go and finish that. And then Primordial, which is Jeff Lemire and Andreas Sorrentino. Sorrentino is the artist who drew Batman the Imposter and Gideon Falls, which here's a little bit of news that I saw today on Andreas Sorrentino's Instagram. Gideon Falls is getting a volume 2 written by Jeff Lemire, and he's doing the art, and that's coming out this fall. And
nice.
Oh my God, am I excited, because Gideon Falls was fantastic. And the last thing, did you pick up book 1? Is that what you're reaching to get?
Nope. Oh, you do your last thing.
Okay. About a year and a bit ago, I participated in a Kickstarter campaign.
Oh, I know what you're about to talk about.
With an artist that I really like, Tyler Kirkham. He put together a Kickstarter campaign for this book that he was writing and drawing called Final Boss, and they showed up today.
Oh,
or not today, this week they showed up. So it's basically, he was a child of the 80s, and born in the 80s, grew up in the 90s, and he would spend all of his time, not all of his time, but he really liked Street Fighter 2 and Mortal Kombat and Van Damme movies. And so it was, what if I turned Street Fighter 2 and Bloodsport, the movie, into a comic book, which is what he did with this. So the tier that I participated in the Kickstarter campaign got me 5 copies of issue 1.
Oh my gosh, look at it. So it's so
they're
pretty.
All autographed. So there's the original cover done by Kirkham. Oh, I got myself a little sketch cover done by Kirkham as well. So I'm keeping that one.
I shouldn't whistle into the mic. Gosh, that must sound terrible.
There's a cover by Ryan Otley.
Oh, he's one of your faves.
Invincible and Grizzly Shark
fame. Grizzly Shark fame. That's what he's known for.
100%. And then here's the embarrassing thing where I don't remember who did the last 2 covers. But I will put that in the description, and I'm sorry. But so I got
so
5,
nice. Yeah.
5 versions of the book. So you, sir, are going to get one.
Oh boy.
And then we might be doing some giveaways.
Yeah.
I've got some things planned.
Nice.
So we're going to put together a couple little giveaways. So some of you will get a nice autographed Tyler Kirkham book of Final Boss issue number 1.
Wow.
With a certificate of authenticity and all that stuff.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, and just over my shoulder, I'm still working my way through Monstrous.
Oh yeah, just great book. Yeah, speaking of Kickstarter, speaking of what showed up.
Ooh, Berserker.
Yeah, this is volume 1, the nice hardcover.
Nice.
Of that. So yeah, that. If
you want to hear all about Berserker, you can go back in our feed. If you're new to the show, you can go listen to a nice conversation we had with the almighty Ron Garney, the artist on that. What an awesome dude. Him and I still chat.
Oh, he's the best. He's absolutely the best.
We like chit chat now, and it's like hilarious that I'm like, we're like friends. Am I like friends with Ron? Like, this is pretty cool.
He was. Yeah, that was a great conversation and super humble. And yeah, just anyways, the artwork in this is fantastic. I've mentioned Berserker so many times, so we don't need to go over that again. But yeah, I was excited that showed up.
Yeah.
And then also, obviously, I'm reading all things D&D Critical Role
for sure.
Like I'm just getting all that stuff. So yeah, and it's all great.
It's so good. Groovy. Well, I was scheduling a break in the podcast, but we're blowing over time, so we're just gonna blow right through this. We'll take a break and then go into part 2. Speaking of Kickstarter and D&D, how's this for a segue? I think the comic that won Comic of the Year for us, are The Almighty Die by Kieran Gillen and Stephanie Hans. I saw someone online refer to it as Goth Jumanji, which isn't accurate, but is very funny.
That's a funny way to refer to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Go back and listen to our stuff. We talk about Die award show. But they are finally launching the Kickstarter campaign for the tabletop RPG game on May 17th of Die.
Yep.
So the beta is still available. If you want to go, you can go to, I think it's Die RPG. I'll put the link just flashed, and if not, it's in the description of the in the show description as well. I'll put it there, but like you can go and download the beta version that Kieran put together with all the rules and character sheets and all that stuff. But apparently they've been workshopping it with other writers.
They've been doing a bunch of playtesting.
And they've been doing playtesting and asking people for playtesting. So they've been refining it. So apparently the Kickstarter is launching May 17th for the full version of it. And
oh my gosh. I can't.
You better believe the Whiskey Geeks will be participating in that Kickstarter.
Absolutely.
Big thank you to Steve Say from Talking Comics, friend of the show.
Friend of the podcast.
Who told me today that was coming. So
thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve. I can't wait to play that.
I know. Well, we've been talking about this for well over a year of trying to, I mean, one, we need to find time so we can podcast, but two is like, how can we find time to run a Die campaign?
I know.
And anyways, so much fun.
Great.
Yeah.
The goal, I'm going to put this on recording so that it's out there. The goal is to do it as a show.
Yeah.
To like run a Die campaign as a podcast.
Yeah.
And like get a crew of people together and we'll just do it. And it'll be a nice little mini series show.
Yeah. I think that would be so much fun.
Be real fun. In lesser fun news, comic wise, two artists who arguably would be on the Mount Rushmore of comic book artists passed away this week.
Yeah.
Or in the last 2 weeks.
Two absolute legends.
Most recently, George Perez, believe he was in his 70s or 80s. But he just passed away a couple of days ago. For those that don't know, I mean, my God, his work. If you've ever seen the Infinity Gauntlet,
I think it's one of the most iconic
covers.
Like Marvel covers. It's that first, like issue 1, Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet. I mean, everyone knows exactly what I'm talking about now. If you didn't know that he did that before, I'm sure you can see that in your mind now. That was really sad. And you're right, like these are like he's Mount Rushmore legend status in the industry.
100%. Yeah. And the other book that's like a legendary cover that was his was the Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yeah.
So the Superman holding the dead Superwoman,
right?
With everybody from DC behind him. Yeah. So that's George Perez as well. Just an absolute legend. One of my favorite episodes of the TV show Comic Book Men was with George Perez. It's like after Hurricane Sandy, one of the guys at the shop, Mike Zapsik, he like lost his whole collection in Sandy, and the guys got George Perez to do a commission sketch for him.
Oh wow!
And they did a Wonder Man, cool. Simon Williams, which is a really cool Avengers character.
Yeah,
Avengers number 9 is Wonder Man on the cover. It's a great cover. I love that.
That was
really cool character that has not shown up in MCU.
Wonder Man was, if you remember going through this, that 1992 Marvel card set.
Yeah, that Wonder Man was OP.
Wonder Man was like the one that we would always gravitate to. Be like, look at this guy.
Yeah,
he's 10s at everything.
OP.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was some bummer news. I don't want to say even more bummer news, but I think a little bit more shocking news was Neil Adams also passed away. Last week. I know he'd had a rough. I think he had gotten sepsis, and like was hospitalized and had a scare a few months back, and looked to be getting better, but unfortunately not. But oh my God, what has Neil not done?
Yeah. I've got an autographed piece of his that you actually helped facilitate hanging on my wall, like literally right there, an iconic Batman.
Yeah.
And it's to Alex. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And the story behind that was, I I help out the London Comic Con with the comic creator guests. So I was one of the guest curators for the comic book guests, and 1 year I facilitated and brought in Neil Adams to London, Ontario to the show, and was also fortunate enough to interview him on the main stage. I went looking for the audio of it because I know I had captured it, because I was going to put it up as an interview, but it's unfortunately the quality is not usable.
That's too bad.
Which is a bummer. Unless you want to listen to music playing through all of it. But no, it's unlistenable. But I got to spend the majority of the weekend with Neil. Like, I picked him up from the airport, him and Marilyn, his lovely wife. And I was like their runner, so I drove them to and from. I set them up with, restaurant recommendations and drove them around, and hung out at his booth with him and just listened to him tell stories. And he was a master storyteller. If you want to hear Neil Adams talk, if you go to Kevin Smith's podcast, it's called Fat Man Beyond. He just re-released, I think it's 6 hours of him talking to Neil Adams. It's like 5 or 6 different podcast episodes that he had, like, so I think it was like 8 years ago, Kevin had Neil on his show, and it was like a 4-hour thing that he broke up into 3 episodes, and then he had him back on and they did it again, but he just re-released it as a
so it's a 5-hour and 57-minute supercut of
it's
episodes
incredible.
54, 55, 56, 71, 72.
It's incredible.
Yeah, it's in my queue, and I'm looking forward to diving deep into that.
I've listened to it 4 times. I mean, because I listened to it when it first came out.
Yeah.
8 years ago, and I would go back and re-listen to it because the way that he tells stories about and like the creation of Jon Stewart, and him, the Green Arrow and Green Lantern run with the drug cover, the infamous drug cover.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
The big story that's in that podcast is how Neil was instrumental in getting oh, Jesus Christ. Now, of course, I'm blanking. Schuster and God, the guys who created Superman. Fuck. It was embarrassing. He got their names, like he got them credit and got them paid because
oh, that's
DC
right. Oh, I'd forgotten that. I'd forgotten that was a big,
a huge legal thing.
Huge deal.
Yeah. Siegel. Jerry Siegel. There we go. Jerry Siegel and Joe Schuster. Sorry. But he goes in that Kevin Smith thing. He goes through the whole story about how he found out that these guys were basically broke and that they never gotten credit for it. So anyway, I'm not going to tell it because Neil tells it way better, obviously, but an absolute legend. And yeah, I was able to get a couple of like pencil sketch art prints from him. So I got a nice Walking Dead one and a Batman one for you. And
that's, yeah, it was great. I got to, when you came up to one of the Ottawa cons that he was at, I mean, you walked over and I mean, he just looked up and saw you and was like, oh, hey, Tim.
Yeah.
And just, him and Marilyn were there and they just, you introduced us and we had a nice little, side of the table chat while he was sketching. I think he was doing like a 9.5 by 11 like sketch for someone, like a commission for the con, and he was just drawn away doing his thing, chatting with us.
Yeah.
And then people would walk up to get an autograph, and he'd spend his time with them, and then come back over and keep chatting with us. And like it was just incredibly generous with his time, just a really genuinely nice, good human being, right? Like besides the fact that he was an incredible artist and creator, just a really genuinely good human being.
Yeah. So, the world lost 2 legends. The comic world especially, and condolences and thoughts and prayers out to the families and all that stuff. But
well, like we normally do, is raise a glass.
And in that podcast, he also talks about a book that he wrote, a Batman book called Batman Odyssey, That's a Ra's al Ghul story that I'm going to go and
Ooh,
pick up because I'd forgotten that he had written it, and the way he tells the story, I'm like, oh shit, that sounds incredible.
nice.
So I'm going to go pick that up. Um, Speaking of all that stuff, we'll end on a lighter note. The world is opening back up again.
Oh my gosh.
Conventions are coming back.
Yes, they are.
The London is coming back in the fall. A Fan Expo is coming back at the end of the summer. I think the Ottawa one is.
Yep,
They've moved it
it's
to
planned
right around the same time.
Yeah, it's the weekend after Fan Expo. With
Right
the
on.
hopes is to be able to double dip on some of those guests.
Snag some of them artists.
Yep.
And I gotta say, Fan Expo in Toronto, they've released their guests, and the comic book creator guests that are there are bonkers.
It's wild. Like everyone.
Pretty
It
much
feels like
everybody.
everyone,
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But
and some pretty great celebrity guests too. But did anybody really jump out at you as someone that you would be interested in talking to, meeting, getting
Tinian.
something signed? Or James Tinian?
Yeah, James Tinian.
All right.
The Nice House on the Lake crew is all there.
Yeah.
So that's the one that jumped out to me, because we could also then talk a little Batman Ninja Turtle.
Yep.
You know. So that I think, but then also Stephanie Hans.
That's the one that I'm very excited.
Yeah.
About. Stephanie Hans, Artist of Die, is there.
So
I'm
probably
possibly selling some of my comic books, some of my graded comic books, in hopes of picking up artwork.
So maybe some original art if she's got some there.
Wondering if maybe that's where some of this is going to go.
Yeah.
Acquiring a Stephanie Hans piece, because her work in die
it's beautiful.
Gorgeous.
I mean, how many times have you reached out asking if she has anything for sale? Because I've reached out several times and it's constantly like, oh, like I'm not doing any right now, and I don't have anything right now.
So I'm hoping
I'm not
that
doing commissions because I'm doing covers or whatever.
I know. I'm hoping that with cons coming back, artists tend to have you can prearrange to get some stuff, which we've done before.
Yep.
Like Wills Portacio.
Oh, my
who
Wills.
I also brought
Darth Vader.
Yeah, so we did you've got a sketch cover, sketch cover Darth Vader. And then he did a Punisher commission piece for me. And then I brought, the same year that I brought Neil Adams to London, Wills also came to the London show. And then just as a thank you for bringing him to the show, I had a blank Star Wars cover, and I was like, if you've got time, I would love to get another piece from you. And then he did a Han Solo bust for me on it and didn't charge me. It was like considered a thank you for bringing me to the show.
I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah. I gave it to him on the Thursday night, and I was like, by the end of the weekend, if you can get something, give me a number, I'll want to pay you for it.
Yeah.
And then the next day he was like, oh, I just whipped this up for you last night. And it's like a bananas depiction of Harrison Ford. It's crazy.
Yeah. He
rocks.
And again, another guy that he did a Side of the Table podcast with you up in Ottawa.
Yeah.
When he was up here.
You know what?
That audio might be around. That might be a bit better.
I'm going to put that. I'll put that up as a special release, because that was on my old, was primarily a music industry podcast. I did a Comic-Con special where I interviewed Wills and then David Ross.
Yeah.
And I just did 2 quick interviews with them. So yeah, I'll put that up on our feed.
Yeah.
As a little Comic-Con special. Rock and roll, man. Well, hey, what I thought was going to be a short one ended up being an hour. So part one.
Part one. Also on the celebrity side at Fan Expo, the 4 Hobbits are there.
The Hobbits are there. It's pretty cool.
I mean, that's an all-timer. I would love to go and get all 4 of them. I've got a very, very fancy Folio Society Lord of the Rings trilogy books that I'd love to get the 4 Hobbits to sign.
That'd be pretty cool.
Like, not, I mean, it's not a comic, it's not a picture, but I think that'd be really cool. But yeah. So,
well, hey, sir, this was fun.
This was good. We should throw it to a break, go get some water, and get back. So thanks so much for being with us for part 1 of the Don't Call It a Comeback tour, and we'll be back.
Already done one of those. But...
I know. Part 2, we'll be talking whiskey. Lots of things whiskey. Whole
Lots
bunch.
of things whiskey.
So much.
Whole lot of whiskey. Well, thanks, folks. Really appreciate it. And click that next episode. Subscribe to this one too. Share it with a friend. And tell us what you thought of Moon Knight and all of the other things that we talked about. And who are you excited to see at cons?
And how did we talked about Spider-Man briefly and then just didn't really talk about it? That's fine.
No,
we're not going to do it now. It was fantastic.
It was fantastic. All right. Well, that's it for part 1. Thanks, buddy. This was fun. And
we'll
be right back, folks.